What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. Now that every team has played at least one game, these are some takeaways that I'd like to talk about, or observations I've made. And I understand it's only one game, so there's some things that obviously I know that will be improved upon, but I'm just making the observation. And then there's some things that I think may be issues moving forward and should likely be addressed. All right. So the first topic we're going to talk about in this takeaway is Victor Wembanyama. His debut game, things I noticed, things I didn't like, but things that I feel like will improve as he gets older and starts to understand the NBA game, the pace, and how to maneuver from game to game. One thing I didn't like is the amount of threes he was taking, especially being a 7'4" phenom that he is. Almost every shot he took in that game was a three-pointer, and it seemed like that is really all he was looking for, and maybe all Popovich was really setting him up to do. That's all I can say from my observations. Whether the Popovich part is, whether I'm spot on or not, I don't know. It's just a hunch I have. Granted, he hit a handful of them, but with the advantages that he has, he shouldn't be camping out in the three-point line, but definitely taking advantage of his size for high-efficiency shots closer to the basket. There were times where I saw that he was trying to get closer to the basket, but he was not strong enough to move his defender further into the paint or off the block, whichever, which is disappointing but understandable given that he still has to develop his body. All right, he doesn't have a whole lot of meat there, and he has to develop his core as well. But there are still ways where he can get closer to the basket, even though he may not be able to directly overpower his man and necessarily back him down the way he wants to. Use your feet. Use roll actions. Popovich, set some off-ball screens. More player movement to sneak Victor Wembanyama in areas closer to the basket where he can assert himself and get position closer to the basket. That's going to be on Pop. That's going to be on the training staff and the coaching staff to find ways to get him closer to the basket, realistically. There were times where Victor Wembanyama would have his back to the basket somewhere around the block, low block, mid block, call for the basketball, try to move the player, pass it back out to the player on the three-point line. And instead of, after passing the ball back to the player out to the three-point line, instead of slipping close to the basket or trying to slip after the pass, or repositioning himself, repositioning his body, and demand the ball back, instead of doing those two things, he ran out to the three-point line. Naturally, instinctively just ran out to the three-point line. I don't like to see that, especially at his size. Repost, throw it back out, reposition yourself, repost, and then go at it again. Or slip. And then pick and roll, slip. But he's picking popping out to the three-point line. These are things I seen. This is stuff I seen in the preseason as well. So I like to see more repositioning, repost ups, and slip into the basket. Take advantage of that height, sir. Also, I felt like he really wasn't being looked for as much as he should have been. Now, some people are going to say, well, he got in foul trouble. Yes, he did get in foul trouble. But one thing I noticed is that even before he picked up, it was either the third or fourth or fifth foul in quick succession. Even before he had picked up those group of fouls in quick succession, they weren't looking for him even before he was in foul trouble. He wasn't being assertive even before he was in foul trouble. So I'm not just pointing at foul trouble as the only reason, because he had his moments before the fouls became an issue and Popovich was taking them out for extended periods of time. However, I do like the young players that they have around him. A lot of these guys, they seem fearless. They seem ready to step up in the moments. They seem ready to take the big shots. They seem to know their roles. Small sample size, but what I saw from our first game, I like what I saw about the pieces around him, and I feel like this young core can really grow together, especially that guy Vasler and that point guard Jones. I really like what I saw from those guys. I wasn't sure what I was going to see from Cedi Osman. I haven't seen a whole lot of Cedi since his Cavaliers game, and I can't remember which team he went to after the Cavs, but he played okay there, so I was curious to see how Cedi would do, and Cedi did well. One concern I had about Victor Wembanyama, and I put out content about this before the draft lottery, was that I didn't want him to go to the Spurs because I felt like Greg Popovich wouldn't just throw him out there and let Victor show the world what he can do by putting the ball in his hands and just letting him go to work, because you know how Greg Popovich likes to run his offenses. So that was a concern I had, and based on what I've seen so far, my concern may be coming true, but it's only one game. We'll see how things progress moving forward. But yeah, just something I would like to see as a fan of basketball, not of the Spurs. I hate the Spurs franchise. Great organization, but as a Laker fan, hey, we're rivals. Los Angeles Clippers. I have recently put out a video about my predictions for, how teams would fare, where they would be S tier, A tier, B tier, etc. And I said the only thing standing in the Clippers' way of winning a championship is health. I've picked the Clippers to win the last 2 or 3 championships. And I like them even better now with Russell Westbrook and their depth. But the only thing standing in front of the Clippers is health. If Kawhi is ready to go, if Paul George is ready to go, and I know Russ being the Iron Man, suited up to play, tying up his sneakers every single game, leaving nothing wasted out on the floor, I know, and with Ty Lue's coaching, I know that these guys are good enough to beat any team in the league. And what I saw them do to the Portland Trailblazers is what I expected them to do. Take an inferior team and put the kids to bed. This isn't even a competition. And Russ, PG, and Kawhi have great chemistry together. None of these guys take away from each other's game in any type of way. And the surrounding pieces are all working great. And Ty Lue knows what he's doing. But the only thing standing in front of the Clippers and the championship trophy is health. Because they're good enough to go against anybody. Next up, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I've been pretty quiet regarding Damian Lillard, the Bucks, and Giannis since the trade happened. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is my favorite player. Because of him, I root for the Milwaukee Bucks. I was at their championship game in Milwaukee. I was there for the 50-point game and the championship. Yeah, it was amazing. But they're definitely a better team with Damian Lillard, and definitely more lethal in the fourth quarter and down the stretch in close games. I don't think they're the world-beating team that everybody I felt like were making them out to be after they acquired Damian Lillard, but I do think they're better even with the defensive edge that they lost with Drew Holiday. But I feel like they more than make up for that lost defense with the offensive burst and the clutch burst they're getting with Damian Lillard. For obvious reasons, we see why Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo complement each other so well. Giannis's weaknesses are Damian's strengths. Damian's weaknesses are Giannis's strengths. And the chemistry works so well. And because one of Damian's strengths is his clutch performances, especially shooting in the clutch and long-range shooting in the clutch, and that is not Giannis's strength, when it's clutch time, they know exactly who to defer to, and there's no questions about it. Now, I'm not saying that Giannis can't get clutch touches. He can, but it doesn't have to be him dribbling the ball at the top of the three-point line and barreling into the paint, flipping up a coin whether he'll get an offensive foul or not. Now he can work off Damian's strength. He can work off Damian Lillard's offensive prowess. Slip to the basket without the ball. Damian can feed him. And the pick and rolls. And it makes life easier for both of the guys. It makes life so much easier for both of them, especially in clutch time moments. The defenses are going to have to make a decision. And whatever decision they make, it's not necessarily going to be a good one. Giannis gets the ball low post. Well, you got to send 2 or 3 defenders at him. But who you leaving? Dame? Either way, you're getting cooked, and there's going to be somebody open somewhere. And as Damian Lillard just proved in this game, dropping 38, 39 points, clutch basket after clutch basket, Giannis Antetokounmpo making a handful of clutch shots, maybe like 1 or 2 clutch baskets there, but he made some key clutch defensive plays. Giannis working in the clutch to his strengths, Damian working in the clutch to his strengths. As long as Chris Middleton doesn't have a problem with having significantly less touches, everything will be good right there in Milwaukee. I don't think they're world beaters. I don't think they're shoo-in favorites, but they're definitely title contenders, no question about it. But I like what I see so far from Giannis, Dame, and the Bucks, and I didn't think there would be any chemistry issues between the two. And I always thought that Damian would be what's the word I want to use? Dame would be a seamless addition to the roster. The Boston Celtics, I think they have also gotten much better this season with the additions of Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. Brain fart. Drew Holiday. Even with losing Time Lord and Williams and those folks. So they have a much more potent and reliable 4-man punch with Tatum, KP, Drew, and why am I forget? I always forget this guy's name, and I don't know why. Non-dribbling ass. Jaylen Brown. I don't know why that guy's name always evades me. I have no idea why, but they have a very formidable punch there. And really, all you need is 2 of these guys to show up to be more or less themselves, and the other 2 guys can actually be average at best and still be in good position to win a lot of basketball games, offensively and defensively. But if 3 of these guys are clicking or 4 of these guys are clicking, they are going to be very, 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 very hard to take down. Especially what Kristaps Porzingis can give you when he's healthy on both ends of the floor, at his size, at his length, with his capabilities. And we've seen the type of Kristaps Porzingis was the best player on the floor in their opener. It wasn't Tatum. It wasn't Brown. It wasn't Drew Holiday. It was Kristaps. He was the big difference maker. And not saying that he's going to do that every night. They're not expecting him to. I'm not expecting him to. But the fact that any given night he can be this version of Kristaps is scary, knowing that Jayson Tatum is going to be more or less consistent. Now, the only thing I have to worry about is Jaylen Brown, his mental state. Being that there used to be a time where every single night Jaylen Brown was hands down the guy eating second after Jayson Tatum. He was the second banana. Now, every single game, Jaylen Brown isn't necessarily going to be the second banana. He wasn't really a focal point in that first game with Kristaps firing how he was, and Drew Holiday also taking over point guard responsibilities, a guy that can handle the ball and make good decisions with the basketball. So I'm curious to see how Jaylen Brown is going to be with this, really strong 4-man lineup, and him not necessarily being the guy that's being sought of second every single game. He was already making comments and statements about being underappreciated and undervalued before the arrival of Kristaps, before the arrival of Drew Holiday in the previous 2 seasons, especially last season. So I'm really curious, with even more of a diminished role offensively, how Jaylen Brown is going to react. Is he going to buy in? Because this can impact the future of him and the Boston Celtics organization if he's not happy with his new role. But we'll see. Next, the New Orleans Pelicans had a fantastic game. All the players showed up like they were supposed to. Zion Williamson had a good game. And I expect the Pelicans to be a top seed in the West, one of the better teams in the West, as long as Zion Williamson stays healthy along with Brandon Ingram. But I'm more worried about Zion. So we'll see. I'm not surprised if the Pelicans start off to like a 20-4 record or something like that. They're more than capable of doing that. But can he stay healthy, and can he stay in a good mental state to feel like Zion for the duration of the year? Give me a break. Warriors and CP3. I wasn't really sure what to make of these guys. I didn't really watch him play that much in the preseason. CP3 wasn't going to get a whole lot of minutes given his age, but what I saw so far, I liked. I wasn't one of these people that thought that him and Steph Curry couldn't play together. It seemed like they worked very well off each other. Clay needs to. Listen, Clay hasn't been the same since the injuries, offensively and defensively. Shooters never forget how to shoot, but I would be lying if I said that his offensive production hasn't significantly tapered somewhat since he's came off those horrendous injuries. And he had a bad start, but he's going to have good stretches and he's going to have bad stretches. But I don't think we're going to ever really going to see a consistent Klay Thompson from game 1 to game 82. But I do like what Chris Paul can add to this team, especially as far as decision making in the clutch. Sound decision making. At times, Steph Curry makes questionable decisions, questionable passes in key moments of the game. I've seen him do it time and time again, but I have more faith in Chris Paul making the right play in key moments of the game, whether that's key moments in the fourth or just critical moments in the second and third that can alter momentum of a basketball game. So I really, really like the Chris Paul dynamic and how he can take some of that responsibility off Steph Curry. I really do. The Los Angeles Lakers. I've spoke about the Lakers ad nauseum. I'm a Lakers fan. I will not consider them a true contender unless Anthony Davis becomes more consistent. And I still think this team has more things to iron out with the roster or just as a team. I think these are things that can be addressed as the season goes along. They have to get away from this system thing and build more of a team concept, a system within a team that isn't focused around one player doing everything. And with LeBron playing significantly less minutes, or at least that's what they say, that's the plan for the long run. We'll see if that actually happens, because you know how that is. When things get rocky and you're not playing LeBron James all those minutes, are you going to stick to your guns and have them figure it out? Or are you going to panic and say, okay, no, we got to throw LeBron in? You got to stick to your guns, wade the waters, the rough waters, and let them figure it out, because that's the only way you're going to get out of that system bullshit. But until Anthony Davis becomes a consistent all-star contributor and not flipping a coin if you're going to get role player Anthony Davis or all-star Anthony Davis, I cannot take these guys seriously. I can't. I literally just saw them. Even with Anthony Davis showing up and LeBron James showing up, even though he struggled from the field a bit but turned it up in the fourth, even with these two guys showing up against the Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant, without Devin Booker, that's a whole nother story. And without Bradley Beal, damn near soloed by himself, 39 points, 39-point double-double, soloed the Los Angeles Lakers by himself. The Lakers escaped with that game. So as a Laker fan, I don't feel good about that. Barely winning with no Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and just KD and a bunch of role players. The Lakers still have a lot of things to figure out, folks. The Phoenix Suns. First of all, shout out to Devin Booker, supposed to be the Kobe Bryant of this era, but missing the second game of a season with a sore foot. You kidding me? Could you ever imagine Kobe Bryant? Oh, my foot is sore. Oh, my wrist has a boo-boo. I'm not going to play. Oh, please, don't give me that. Kobe Bryant was giving you 30, 40, 50 points while playing S-tier caliber defense on the other end. There's no comparison between Kobe Bryant and Devin Booker. And that's not me punching Devin Booker in the face, because I've heard Devin Booker say on record, saying that me and Kobe Bryant basically do not belong in the same breath. So shout out to D-Book for saying that. I ain't got nothing against him personally, but it's what I hear people say. But the Phoenix Suns, they are good enough to win a championship, but it's going to be their defense. And lucky for them, they have a defensive-minded coach and Frank Vogel. And I think they can come together and be a decent team that plays good team defense, or at least can raise their defense in key moments of the game when they need it the most. They are more than capable of doing that, and they have the right coach for it. Whether it happens or not remains to be seen. We shall see. The Philadelphia 76ers. I've never took the 76ers franchise seriously as far as being contenders. Well, it seems like every year people are like, the Sixers in the East, the Sixers in the East. Every year I'm like, no. Joel Embiid is great, but I don't have faith in Joel Embiid throughout the length of the playoffs to show out like he's supposed to. And then this whole James Harden situation. This guy is I don't even know how this guy should be blackballed and banned from the NBA. James Harden. What he's doing with franchises, kicking like a baby, screaming for something he wants, then getting what he wants, going to the team that he's asking people to send him to, despite being completely unprofessional, and then doing the same exact thing to that franchise, what he did to the other franchise, and that franchise should not be surprised given the behavior of the child that they are dealing with. Not honoring his contract, kicking and screaming, acting stupid, not showing up, going across social media, causing controversy, shit like that. This guy should be removed. Could you imagine if all the players started acting like this? And nobody's doing anything about it, and he's constantly getting his way every single time, acquiescing to his needs. I've never seen anything like this guy in the history of the NBA. This dude there needs to be some type of harsh punishment, penalty for this kind of behavior. A major suspension, a major fine, being expelled, I don't know. But this type of behavior from James Harden that we have seen over the last couple years is inexcusable and should not be in the NBA. What does he want? Dude, what do you want? And at no point does he ever hold himself accountable. That's the sad part. It's never his fault. Otherwise, he wouldn't be kicking and screaming like a child. Moving on. The Denver Nuggets, the reigning defending champions, still championship contenders. They're still going to be a load to deal with, even though losing some key players, especially Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown was amazing. I was sad when they got rid of him because he was a key part of that championship team. But you know how it is. Lose somebody, plug and play, next man up, and there's a whole lot of season to be played. More trades can be made. They'll fill in the gaps that the holes that were plugged last season, and I have no doubt that they'll be right there in the Western Conference Finals, fighting for a bid to get back to the championship and defend their throne. Anything is possible. When you got Nikola Jokic on the floor and Jamal Murray, and they retained Aaron Gordon too, and they still got Porter. So I mean, they're going to be good. They're confident. They're riding on their championship pedigree right now, and they're hungry. So that's all the major points I wanted to talk about. Just observations. Some things, like I said, might be long-term issues, and some things I expect to be corrected in small sample size. But just observations and takeaways that I've made. All right. Y'all let me know what you think about it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I off the mark? Tell me why. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and I'll catch you on the next one. We out, baby.